Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the March 5th meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Kalo has our dog from the kennel this morning.
Good morning. Hi, guys. Our featured dog this week is an American Bulldog mix. He's a stray. He was found off of Charleston Avenue in Lorain, off of Route 57. About 2 years old, great temperament. Come on, let him see you. Quit chewing on your feet. Come here.
He's biting his fingernails.
Come here. Let's get a picture of you. Boy, he's busy chewing away.
He's busy.
Okay, go ahead. Finish up. Go ahead, clean your feet. Oh. Cal, I hope you got a good
Picked up a piece
picture
of
of
gum
him.
on his foot or something.
He did get a picture, okay. He'll be available for adoption this Saturday. How many dogs do we have down there now?
He's bleeding.
We have about 30 dogs, so we're getting full. So if he's not quite your type of dog, stop down. I'm sure we've got something for you and your family. Madam Clerk?
We have a proclamation today to proclaim the month of March as Developmental Disabilities, and Dr. Amber Fisher's here.
Doctor, I'll read the proclamation and then we'll make it your show. How's that sound?
Okay.
In the matter of proclaiming March 2014 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month throughout Lorain County. Whereas Murray Ridge Center recently celebrated its 45th year of providing services to Lorain County children and adults with developmental disabilities and their families. Whereas 680 infants and toddlers with suspected developmental delays received early intervention services in 2013. And whereas in 2013, 161 students with developmental disabilities received educational services in early childhood, primary, intermediate, and senior classes at Murray Ridge School. Whereas through Murray Ridge Center in 2013, more than 1,000 adults with developmental disabilities participated in training and or work experience in 3 opportunity vocational centers, several community employment enclaves operated by the Murray Ridge Production Center or in other locations throughout the community. Whereas in 2013, residential services were provided to 56 individuals with developmental disabilities living in Murray Ridge operated group homes, 88 individuals with disabilities living in small group settings in the community, including homes operated and maintained by Murray Ridge Housing Corporation, and 403 individuals with disabilities who receive Murray Ridge administered services in private residential facilities, foster care settings, their own apartments, or with their families. Whereas participation is encouraged in local, regional, state, and national Special Olympics activities, provide recreation and competition experience to adults from Lorain County eligible to participate, whereas assistance that will permit families to care for a family member with a disability in their home was provided in 2013 to 685 individuals through the Family Support Program. Whereas Murray Ridge Center staff network with social service, health, and welfare agencies enrich the environment of children and adults with disabilities and to find appropriate residential services for individuals. Whereas Lorain County Board of Developmental Disabilities oversees funds from federal, state, and local sources, provide an array of services to Lorain County individuals with disabilities and their families. Now therefore, we, Ted Kalo, Lori Kokoski, and Tom Williams, members of the Board of Lorain County Commissioners, do hereby recognize Lorain County Board of Developmental Disabilities and declare the month of March 2014 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in honor of the sizable contribution made to the welfare of Lorain County children and adults with special needs. Thank you, Dr. Fisher.
Thank you.
I'd just like to start by saying that all of us at Murray Ridge, and particularly our program participants, count ourselves as very fortunate for the ongoing and staunch support of the Board of County Commissioners and the support and assistance of County Administrator Cordes. We thank you for that. So on behalf of our Board of Directors, hundreds of employees, thousands of children and adults with developmental disabilities and their families, thank you so very much for all that you do for the county and for all that you do to support us in fulfilling the mission of Murray Ridge, and also for recognizing the abilities of the people that we serve. And again this year, I have some friends with me to help me give an overview of the programs and services at Murray Ridge Center. Representing our educational services, I have CJ with me today, and we're fortunate that his teacher was able to get out of the classroom because I think the rest of the class is in therapy. As you know, Murray Ridge, he's waving already. As you know, at Murray Ridge, we provide early intervention services to hundreds of children ages 0 to 3. And we operate Murray Ridge School for preschoolers and also students up to age 22 in Lorain County that have the most significant disabilities. Now, CJ was born in Athens, Ohio, so he received his early intervention services from the Athens County Board of Developmental Disabilities. But upon moving to Lorain County, he enrolled at Murray Ridge School, and he is currently 8 years old. He goes to our primary wing, and CJ has adjusted very well to his new school. He especially enjoys all the fun events, and he even likes the school dances. CJ makes friends wherever he goes. He enjoys helping in the class. He likes to set the table for breakfast, pass out papers, and when we have work, and he especially likes to help his friend Tom with projects. CJ is fun to be around and always quick to make us laugh, and he would like to come up and just say a couple of words. CJ, you want to come on up?
He was already stealing the show.
Yes, he was. I'm sure he was.
I have the microphone. Do you want the microphone?
See if we can get this. Get this.
No, we can't see him there, Doctor. Let's bring him up.
Hi. Can I?
We got a microphone so we can
Okay.
see him.
Yeah. Hi, CJ. Oh,
Hi.
there we go. There we go.
Hi, CJ.
How are you? You want to stand there by you?
He wants to see himself on the monitor.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
CJ.
Okay.
See? There, see?
Yes.
Hi.
CJ. CJ, thank you for coming. Yes. Good morning. We're from Murray Ridge. You want to say thank you to our county commissioners? Awesome. Thank you so much, CJ. Thank you. You want to take the microphone back?
So
Fantastic.
Bye, honey.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Great job, CJ. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Okay. Also with us today, we have Benji Lewis. And Benji represents a growing number of consumers that Murray Ridge assists to be employed within the community. BJ also represents a majority of adults served by Murray Ridge Center in that he lives at home with his family. And Benji is also one of our Special Olympians. So we're going to have Benji come up and tell you a little bit about his programs and his services.
Benji got a hard act to follow after CJ, but I'm sure you'll do fine.
My name Benji.
Want me to help you with that? Yeah. Okay, so Benji has successfully been in competitive employment, right? 3 days a week. Where do you work, Benji?
Donuts.
At Dunkin' Donuts. And what kind of things do you do at Dunkin' Donuts with your job?
I clean tables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have a lot of different things you do. The tables, you clean bathrooms, right?
Yeah, I clean bathrooms.
And do dishes.
Yes.
Very good. And you get along pretty well with your boss there at Dunkin' Donuts, don't you?
Yes.
He says that Benji is very, very friendly and does an excellent job. He's also very reliable, like many of our consumers are very reliable in the workplace, right?
Right.
Okay, so then what do you do with Murray Ridge on the days that you don't work at Dunkin' Donuts?
I clean windows.
Okay, okay. And you come to our Opportunity Vocational Center
Yeah.
some days? What do you like to do in your free time, Benji?
I go in Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to tell them about Betsy?
I got probably a name is Bessie.
A brand new puppy. So you have lots of interests. And can you tell them, we actually have some Raiders fans up there among the county commissioners. Do you want to tell them what sports you play?
Golfing
Uh-huh.
and basketball
Yes.
and baseball.
Awesome.
Basketball. Now, I heard did you play in a tournament on this weekend?
Yes.
How did you do? Or how did the team do?
It's good.
Good? Did you have a good time?
Yes.
It's a great event, isn't it?
Yes.
And were you on the basketball team last year?
Yes.
Where did you guys rank? How did you end up at the end of the season?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we made it to we weren't the state champions.
You really had a
But
chance.
one year we were.
Yeah, work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have a good basketball team.
Yeah.
I tell them, go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
Thank you. Great job. Wonderful. Okay, and my last friend today is Juanita Williams, and Juanita is very near and dear to me, actually in a different position at Murray Ridge quite a number of years ago. And I was telling Juanita this morning, I looked a little younger at that time, but I remember going out to the home of Juanita's sister, with whom she was living. And Juanita represents one of many Murray Ridge consumers whose parents were elderly, passed away. She was actually living with a sister who was aging when she needed to be placed. And I remember placing her in a foster care setting quite a number of years back, and then assisting her to move into one of our group homes in Oberlin. Juanita is very, very active in her community. She goes to our Oberlin Opportunity and Vocational Center during the weekdays. She also volunteers at the Oberlin Early Childhood Center, which is right next to her group home. She is a very classy, well-rounded, wonderful woman. So with no further ado, I'd like to have Juanita come up and tell you a little bit about her services.
Rich school, can't get today. Working tomorrow.
You want to tell me a little about the group home?
Since they're home, open house.
What about the Opportunity Vocational Center? You wanna say-
Then I was in the center. I worked there, King Kid.
You work there?
Mm-hmm.
What about the kids, the kinder care?
Some old kid worked there.
You like the little kids?
Uh-huh.
What about Oberlin? What do
I
you do
know.
in the city of Oberlin? Do you do splash zone?
Buy some swimming,
You teach swimming?
walking.
Want to say anything about Chris?
Chris, my roommate,
She's your group home supervisor?
my advisor.
Anything else? Okay, you done? All right.
She has a beautiful smile. It's very contagious.
Very beautiful. So, so that concludes our presentation. And again, I'd like to thank you all so very much for all that you do and for recognizing, again, March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next year.
You do a wonderful job,
Yes,
Doctor,
you
you and
do.
your entire
Thank you.
staff.
Yeah, it is
Thank you.
wonderful. And, every time you go into the facility,
people are so friendly there and can't come out, help but coming out, filling is so much better, and that the people are just wonderful. And, you do an amazing job. I can't say enough about you.
Thank you so much.
I'd
Thank you.
also
all.
like to point out that Amber is now the chair of the Family and First Council this year. She's taken on that task to help the community, and we're really grateful for her leadership. And we got a lot of work to do over there, and she's busy with her primary focus, and she's actually stepped up to help us with the Children Family First Council, which I think is going to be a wonderful experience. I want to thank you for that and your involvement.
Oh, thank you, Jim. Thank you so much.
I was told they wanted a picture of
You
us
do a
all,
picture?
So we
Oh.
want to bring
Yeah.
CJ and Casey back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Bye. Give him a couple minutes.
Yeah, it's Amber's Cinema Theater. They actually utilize Murray Ridge to help clean up the cinema.
Oh, do they?
And when I go in there, I get to meet one gentleman there. So friendly, always wants to talk, gives you the previews of the movies coming up.
He doesn't tell you what happens.
Doesn't
Ruin it for you, right?
But no, it just kind of tells you what's going on, what other movies are coming out, and just great people.
Madam Clerk?
Under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services Bills.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Advances and repayments.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Travel.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cordez?
Commissioner, they do have a few issues. A couple of potential hires at Golden Acres Dog Kennel Crime Lab. Also want to talk about ongoing negotiations. We're preparing to go into negotiations with United Steelworkers America and 911 employees in a few weeks, so we need to have some conversation on that. Also the potential sale and or purchase of real estate. Those three topics are allowable under the Sunshine Law for executive session discussion, so I'd ask at the conclusion of regular board meeting today, we go into executive session and we talk about those issues that I've identified. Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of February 26th.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Under Job and Family, advertise for bids for purchase of tape library server with warranty tech support agreement. Notice to be in the Chronicle on March 10th and 17th and open at 2 p.m. on March 24th.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Approve and enter in the 4D purchase service contract with Child Support Enforcement Agency, Prosecutor, Domestic Relations Juvenile, effective retroactive January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2014. For the prosecutor's non-federal matching funds is $292,278.98. Federal matching funds is $567,365.09 for a total of $859,644.07. Domestic Relations Court Magistrate non-federal matching is $123,564. Federal matching is $239,736.53 for a total of $363,237.17. In Domestic Relations Juvenile, non-federal matching $140,336.25. Federal matching is $272,417.42. for a total of $412,753.67.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Under solid waste, approve the contract with Heritage Environmental Services LLC Toledo for the operation of the HHW collection. There were 4 proposals received in December, this being the most responsive, complying with specifications, and be effective for 2014 with options for 2 more years to be paid from the HHW processing services account.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Bailey.
Well,
Morning,
sorry about that, guys.
Commissioners.
It's okay.
Forgot to turn
That
it
never
down.
happens.
No, I normally do it. I think we were talking so late this morning, I forgot to turn the phone back down.
Must be Miss Kalo.
No. Second floor actually was calling.
No, she'd just be up here yelling at him.
Yeah.
We have before you today a contract recommendation of Heritage Environmental. This is by far your largest contract at the collection center. Most costly is hazardous waste. I found it really rewarding that I have 4 companies I've done business with in the past, and they've all performed admirably for me over my 20-year career in public sector. So I have no biases against any of them. We have one company that proposed a freight charge out of the 4, which set them apart, and 3 of the companies said no cost for the training that we provide to our employees there on an annual basis. Also, 3 of the companies had no cost for the chemist to come in and sort the unknown table, which is done about once a week there. So that's a no-cost item for 3 of the companies. And 3 of the 4 companies in their proposals had no cost for packaging materials, which is the second time this has happened. It happened on the light bulb contract where the company is providing the service of providing the skids, the barrels, the boxes, the whole ball of wax, and that's a $20,000 expenditure annually we can avoid. So for this reason, and to let you know, there is a 30-day clause like in all our contracts that we can get out, and it's a 1-year performance agreement, and if they don't perform in the first year, then we'll move out to another bid. But you'll have to renew them next year if we want to keep them. So proposing Heritage Environmental LLC of Toledo for our haz waste.
Wonderful. Thank you, Keith. How much savings is this versus last year? Do we have a
We're looking at about $26,000 annually savings.
wonderful?
All right?
Well, with the
Nice.
shrinking budget there, that helps.
Hope, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything further? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Approve the solid waste to submit application on behalf of Quality Blow Molding Elyria to the Ohio EPA for the 2014 Market Development Grant in the amount of $154,500. The company will provide the same in mash to be used for the machinery. QBM produces plastic parts for various industries and added a 12,000 square foot expansion in 2013 and will require additional 12 full-time employees while retaining the 74 current full-time at a total project cost of $309,000.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioners, this is the second time we've been around with quality blow mold. The first time was for $164,500, which they were awarded, and we went from a workforce of 60 to 74. So now we're looking at another expansion with this grant that would expand that facility even further and hopefully raise the employment by another 12 persons. So we've had some good luck with this company on these grants. These are pass-through monies, all right, that come from IEPA. We're applying for this, and it'll be a competitive situation. There'll be many companies out there. We hope that more companies will come to us in the future for these kind of monies. It's $250,000 annually for this. We are happy to take any application in, and they're usually done in December and November. And of course, everybody's got holidays on their minds at that point in time, but they're always due in early February of the next year. So I'd like to get those applications this year. I'd like to see more people step up, more companies. If you got a project out there that has recycling-related issues in your industry, come see us. Come talk to us. Come talk to any member of the Growth Partnership, and we'd
It's a
be
great
happy to
program.
work with you.
We
All
had
right?
money for Republic. We had money for Ross also.
Yes. Yeah.
That was last year's 2 awards.
Yeah.
So, no, it's a wonderful program. Nice job, Keith, again, you and your team up there.
And it's good that we're helping different communities, especially Elyria. And I was going to bring it up during my report, but before this meeting today, I attended the Team Lorain County board meeting, and the mayor, Holly Brenda, had mentioned that they have a new economic development strategy, a new plan that they're going to be coming out with, and she mentioned the fact that the county doesn't have a plan and how is she supposed to fit her city plan into the bigger picture when the bigger picture doesn't have a plan? And I just want to say that I don't know that it's all about having a plan. Do we have a plan that fits with Elyria? Do we know what Elyria's economic development plan is?
Mr. Cordez, you or me?
Well, I'll start, and then
Okay.
you can, once again, the city of Elyria has cast dispersion remarks about something they have no clue about, specifically their mayor. And, it gets tiresome to continue to hear this when nobody investigates what's there. You can see clearly the growth partnership is up and working together. An example of what solid waste is doing. There's a reason we put solid waste on the 5th floor 7 or 8 years ago.
Team Lorain County and economic
As part of the
development.
total package. We do the SEDS every year. It's a quite lengthy process.
Can you explain what the SEDS is?
Well, is Don here today? He isn't, and I'd rather him speak on the SEDS, but it's a community-wide economic development plan. It's required before you can apply for EDA funding and other prioritizes other needs within the county that we can seek help for. Believe it or not, the city of Elyria has been in the SEDS for years. We don't have a lot of participation from them. As far as a plan, we use the SEDS as a guideline. We also have CDBG, CHIP. We have all those things that we do to improve the community. I'm not completely sure what set her off again this morning, Commissioner, and I apologize for not being at the meeting. Maybe I could have gave her some clarifications on the things that we do have here, but there's plenty of activity ongoing, and we just submitted projects to Team Neo for awards again this year. Mike Challenger put us in. We're working with LECO on a regional basis. We work through Team Lorain County with Team Neo on a regional basis. We work with Magnet and Jumpstart. And, the list goes on and on about the people we're working with. They all have plans. They have plans for the region. They're all working on behalf of all the identified, some have 11, some have 13 counties, depending on the net. So we're all involved in that. I don't understand why she doesn't know any of that.
I don't know. It sounded like she was getting ready to unveil something, and maybe we need to find out what that is and see what we can do to help facilitate any barriers she may have, or fill in the blanks at things that she doesn't have to offer.
Has the mayor of Elyria
Sure.
have a conversation with any of you board members with regard to any of this?
No.
No.
So it's really easy to go out and say
Well, my
things.
concern being, we have our county economic development strategy, which we're required to have, but we don't have any jurisdiction within the communities. They decide where they're putting sewers at, where they're putting roads at. We come from the side to help them implement what they want to get done. We're spread out among 34 different political subdivisions when it comes to the economic development, and this is one here.
Well, that's what I'm-
That's 12 new jobs.
Right.
We brought in 14 with the last round for the city of Elyria and their income tax. We're helping here again through the EPA and the county solid waste department, the county growth partnership, to bring another dozen in, so I don't
That's
know
why I
where that
brought it up.
disconnect
Well,
is.
That's why I
I-
brought it up here to, help.
I could actually help you out. I could write a lot of press releases and do a lot of studies and not do a lot of work. Does that make you happy?
No, thank you. We'd rather get the work done.
And so,
I don't always like the paperwork, but we get it done, so.
we don't spend a lot of time praising ourselves. We do our business out here. We talk about it a little bit and we move on. There's a lot going on, commissioners, and I'm sorry you had to listen to that this morning. And
Again, I apologize not being there. I had a
well, neither one of us
jam-up
could be
morning this
there.
morning, so.
But I would certainly suggest that I've talked to Mr. Romanchek, and he's found it very challenging to engage Elyria in conversations on the economic development front with regard
Which is
to
not unusual in
partnerships.
communities, because they have their own visions of what they want to do, and then they call us when they need us.
We try to help the cities as best we can, but we try not to tell them at all what to do.
Right. Well, I didn't want to engage her in that meeting until I had a chance to talk to you all about it and
Yeah.
see what
Well,
we needed to do to.
I could tell you the one company that's looking at coming here, they got to meet the economic team and sit down and go through, and they were very impressed. That was just a couple weeks ago.
Our county team.
The
Yeah.
Team
Yeah.
Lorain County or the John Romanchiks of the world?
Everybody.
or
Community
all of
development,
that?
correct. Our
Okay.
team, Pat
And
Metzger from
we're
Port
all
Authority.
taking a look at ways to come up with ways to save them money in order to get them to come here to Lorain County.
They've never been at a growth partnership brainstorming session, all right? Such as,
It's difficult. Again, it's easy to cast aspersions. It's hard to get into action. Leadership doesn't go around casting aspirations, goes around changing things, transforming things. We've been building these collaborations for years, and the mayor's welcome to participate in any of that. That she so desires. If she wants to develop a plan for her city, I think that's admirable, and I think it's probably necessary. But you don't see us running around tearing down what Elyria is doing. But she seems to be unhappy with a lot of things we do.
The land bank, and I mean, it goes on, I guess.
Well, I'm aggravated over it. You're aggravated over it.
Anything else, Keith, in regards to quality blow mold? Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Under Common Pleas, adult probation, approve a Smart Ohio pilot grant agreement in the amount of $250,000 with the Ohio Department of Rehab and Correction, Division of Parole and Community Services, Bureau of Community Sanction for probation improvement and incentive funding. There is no cash match required, effective to June 30th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Just like to say, it's nice to get money back here without us having to put up more money. So that's nice, no cash match.
Right.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Under the engineer, award contract to Dennis Concrete, Wellington, in the amount of $245,220.25 for Foster Road Bridge 0144 replacement project. 4 bids were received on February 27th, this being the most responsive, complying with specifications, and will be paid for the bridge projects account in OPWC. Engineer's estimate was $283,000. Issue notice to proceed on or before April 1st and complete on or before September 30th. Authorize administrator to notify the auditor to release retainage at completion of project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Receive and journalize petition to vacate a portion of Russell Street, Sheffield Township, starting at northerly right-of-way line of Elyria Avenue, extending northerly to about 204.1 feet and southerly from the easterly extension of southerly right-of-way of Grace Street, and found on plat of Gaylord subdivision as recorded in volume 5, page 18, Lorain County Plat Record, Sheffield Township. Viewing will be April 1st at 11, and hearing will be April 23rd at 9:45.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Cortez.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. A couple issues this morning, Commissioners, because you've gotten me riled up already. Yesterday, we had a meeting with folks that want to support transit. Commissioner Kokoski was in attendance. We had various community-minded folks there, some community leaders, a few elected officials were there. It was encouraging. It was a nice rounded group. I saw a lot of passion in the room and a lot of concern and a lot of desire to try to help this issue see a successful outcome. It also gave Commissioner Kokoski and I a really great forum to talk about all the things we have tried to do and really have not been successful at, but we've tried. A lot of questions were, well, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you done that? You can see even within a group that is very concerned about what we're doing, they're not aware of all the efforts and extended things that we've done to try to shore up and enhance transit. I thought the meeting was most excellent. In fact, I had my next meeting wait 45 or 50 minutes in the lobby because I wanted to continue with this group. It was really good. We're going to meet again.
The 18th of March at 11 o'clock.
Am I stealing your thunder from your report?
No, but no,
Okay.
go ahead.
So we're going to meet again. There's going to be a few things brought back to the meeting that they've asked for. I don't know whether they're going to do a fundraiser. I'm not sure what the outcome's going to be, but at least we're going to be out there with folks talking in various communities. I'm going to get it out on our social media. We're going to invite people who want to come and engage. I doubt we're going to have much money, so we're going to have to rely upon folks to go out and talk to their neighbors, talk to their friends, and talk in the social groups that they're in. And then I think towards the middle of April, we're all going to have to get on the bike and pedal a little bit with getting around the county to try to share the message of what we need. I know it's not the most desirable issue, but I'm hopeful that we may be able to do something with transit.
Before you got there, we had Bev Beidleman became the chairperson. I was elected to be the treasurer, and Bob McDonald is the secretary. So if we do have money, it's going to funnel through me. So don't make your checks out to Lori Kokoski.
You know, and as you know, yesterday I had back-to-back meetings,
Right.
so I was actually late getting to that, and I was actually shocked that I wasn't like put in a job, because usually the guy that gets there late
We talked about that before you got there. We'll
usually
just
gets all the jobs,
right.
but it's nice to see some energy, and I'm appreciative of Bev and the people she's brought to the table, and you know, I'm looking forward to working with them.
I think we were looking for, there was a lot of questions from the public that are not engaged in this on an everyday basis, but they were looking for talking points, and I know we came up with 1,800 hours additional per year of traveling or using the transit, and what that would mean for people to be able to say, hey, this is why you need to support the transit. So we need talking points. I'm not sure exactly what those talking points are going to be yet, but.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Cortez and Mr. Ennis. We're working on those, and what we're going to do, you know, in our free time, to send letters out to different people in the community, business people, to try to get donations, and also try to get some of the cities on the same page with us. You know, I read it in a good book. It says, a house divided against itself cannot stand, and you know, we're Lorain County. We just got to try to bring, like, Lorain, Elyria. Seems like Oberlin's really on board. They had a lot of people at the meeting yesterday.
And they participate financially, too.
Yes, and even the townships, and try to work together and make this happen, because it'll make a difference for the whole county, not just for one or two people.
And we
So
talked about the
that's their goal.
economic development
Yes.
aspect of it, and
Yes.
things like that nature,
Yeah,
not
and-
just a poverty issue.
And even it's increasing jobs. I just heard this morning about jobs that might increase, and some of those people might need a way to get there. You know, they miss out on jobs because they can't get there.
Right.
So that would be good. And thank you so much for your support in all this.
And very soon, we're going to have an event down at the Transportation Center hosting Common Ground. It looks like in June, their zip line will be open. For those that didn't know, they've put in a great big zip line out there after purchasing some additional property. It's creating jobs. Our Community Development Department, that doesn't have a plan, was instrumental in working with them on getting loans. They've been very, very grateful for our help. I met with them. It looks like everything's on track, so new jobs will be created. But the exciting thing here is we're creating a destination in Lorain County for people to come here. And you know, I know we need more jobs here. I know we need a lot of work in our community, but we need destination issues because we're still a donor county. We're in between two major destinations, and we donate to those communities because our people leave and recreate and do a lot of events and shopping there. So this is exciting. They're anticipating tens of thousands of visitors over the next few years to the zip line, and it's going to create a lot of economic development opportunity. Maybe it's only about 10, 12 equivalent jobs, but the impact could be huge in the dollars coming into the community. So more to come on that to the board, but we're going to do a big kickoff down at the community center, and the Port Authority is going to do a little sponsorship for them, and we're going to work with them to get the word out to start moving forward. Hopefully that'll be in June. But
Wonderful.
I want to start talking about that and get the community excited for them.
Before you go on, we talked about the meeting for transit. That's also at the Transportation Center. So that was your idea, which I thought was a very good idea to have it there. So if you've never been to the Transportation Center and you're interested in transit, I would suggest that you come there for that meeting.
Piggybacking on the Transportation Center, we met with Amtrak yesterday. They came on site. We're rounding out the end of the selection of an engineering firm to begin engineering design on the platforms to have Amtrak work out of the Transportation Center. You were in that conversation, Commissioner Kokoski, with the FTA. I've had many more conversations trying to cobble together the millions of dollars that's necessary to see the light of day on that project. We do have the funding in place to do the engineering. My fear, and I shared it with Amtrak yesterday, and also I met with Sherrod Brown's chief aide here in Ohio. I shared it with her, is that we'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on engineering, and then we won't be able to cobble together enough funding partners, and possibly not get the support of Norfolk Southern to move forward. I really hate to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in engineering and have to put it on the shelf. So we're trying to make sure we have a clear line of sight to an outcome of the project while trying to do these things to satisfy people. But if we don't have something really, really happening by next February, we're going to lose another $1.X millions of dollars. That's going to have to be returned again. And our future allocations, as I explained at that transit meeting yesterday, because we haven't been spending our future allocations are very small for transit, where we were getting $2.5 million earmarked that could be converted to grants for 2009, 10, 11. Remember, we just returned 2010 money. We're now seeing 600, 650, and dropping. And just because we open the spigot doesn't automatically kick off our portion up, and it's a 3-year lag. Not that we couldn't submit and try to get other monies from them, and the potential's there. Just look, we just returned $2.2 million that other transit systems have gotten. But you really want to be queued for a sufficient portion if it can be matched, so that the dollars come back to your community. And I had that talk with Senator Brown's office also, and they've been very supportive. As you know, we got a lot of money from them that's been sitting still, another $1 million that we haven't used that's going to go towards the engineering.
Well, they asked about the City of Elyria if they were going to participate financially for that project, and
that's right. You remember the conversation. FTA, for some reason, was aware, and they do pay attention to things, that the Mayor of Elyria had mentioned the transportation center in the project, and I'm not sure what she said about it, but they had indicated to me, had I communicated with Elyria to see if they would put some money into the project, because they would think that collaborative effort would enhance being able to get funding. I did send a letter asking for financial support from the City of Elyria. I did have a conversation with the mayor on that. She did indicate that she would speak with council, and I have not received any response to that. But I did receive a communication with regard to potential things at NOACA that I talked with Commissioner Kalo about, which we were already aware of, and I already had done. And that would be with regard to toll credits and how to finance transit projects. I have had a talk with Marion Freed down at ODOT. She's another good collaborator that's worked with us a number of years. We're very familiar with her and her with us. She just asked me to fine-tune my ask. Truth of the matter is, I asked for a lot more toll credits than we needed, which I usually do. She had a nice giggle moment over that and just asked me to close the gap a little bit, which I did, and she's going to work real hard for us to get approval on those toll credits. And so that's all in the works. Also, I don't know if we announced this, but we have gotten an additional $500,000 into our grant that we're working with along the Black River to eradicate invasive species.
Senator Brown sent that out last week. I think it was Friday.
Yeah, I don't know if we actually mentioned it here. Once again, our community development partner that doesn't have a plan has received an additional $500,000 of federal monies that are going to be used to first fix the Black River, and secondly, we use workforce development folks, displaced workers, and put them into jobs so that they can get a job history. We actually have tried to use folks that had a background that may have precluded them from entering the job market. So we've been looking for the hard to employ to get them to work, and we're trying to do employment skills at the same time that we're eradicating the species on the Black River that have been problematic to the indigenous species. So, lots going on. We just don't really spend a lot of time sending things out, telling people about all these things.
That's our job.
That's what we do.
Commissioner, you were smiling over here, so
I'm just thinking pulling weeds.
Well, no, it's
I
invasive
know.
species eradication. Okay?
Dandelion picker.
I know more about a phragmite than I ever wanted to know before, okay? But there's a lot of funds out there to improve your community and these watersheds and rivers that have suffered damage over decades, and that's what it's really all about.
What's nice about that program, though, it ties into that local YACS group working out of Lorain, which is now a county-wide effort. Rob Costco and Stephanie Moore doing the entire cleanup of trash and garbage out there. A couple times you're working their way down the Black River. They actually sent out a notice the other day. They're looking to work farther down in like the Elyria section of the Black River now just for cleanup. So, I mean, it's a dual effort, government and community, just cleaning up the area, so.
Okay, I think I had enough this morning.
Mr.
We'll save a little for next week.
Okay.
I just have one matter of imminent court action I'd like to discuss in executive session.
Only one.
Better than last week, huh?
Commissioners report.
Well, last Thursday, I attended the State of the City for the City of Lorain. Chase Rittenauer, the mayor, did a spectacular job of outlining what the city's doing and planning on doing. From there, I ran right from there to Horizon School. It's the old Lorain Catholic. They invited me to come and read a book to the kindergarten class, and it was so fun. These kids were just amazing, energetic, enthusiastic, and like I had a little fan club of like 30 or 40 kids. They were so cute. Monday, had a meeting again about the emergency notification system for the county. We narrowed it down from 5 companies to 1 company, and I have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Cortez on Friday to inform him of all the ideas that we talked about. And I'm thinking we might want Jerry, if you are free Friday, to attend that meeting as well. We're talking about maybe having some memorandum of understandings with all the various entities in the.
Yeah, we're real good at doing this. We've been doing it through 911, so I think we'll be able to cobble something together and provide that leadership to the community. I think you're also looking to try to figure out a little funding strategy
Well,
too.
what we're talking about is any countywide issue or a multi-jurisdictional issue that we would do a notification, but if it's, say, the city of Avon had a boil alert, if they wanted to participate and be a part of this and be their own administrator of the reverse 911, they would have to participate financially to have their own administrator.
Yeah, we've been getting more and more successful at uniting the 4 corners of the county
Right.
with these global projects. I'm excited that there's another opportunity here, and I'm still working on the one we discussed with regard to enhancing the software that we bought with the safety forces. We just haven't finished that before we put another layer on that. So this may be a good piggyback project to enhance all of those services at the same time.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So we'll be meeting about that on Friday. Tuesday was a transit meeting, and then this morning, the Team Lorain County meeting. Been a busy week. Ted, your fundraiser last night, yesterday morning he brought in punchkis for everybody, and just never know what's inside of those. And I cut mine open, and I got my favorite apricot, so I was happy. It was a good day, and a nice fundraiser last night.
My grandkids just stick their finger in the bottom to see what flavor it is, and so they like they put it back in the box.
Is that what that hole was? That's the end of my report.
Yeah, it was a busy week. Again, kudos to Mayor Rittenauer. He had a great turnout. Update on the city, gave a lot of kudos to the county land bank on the demolitions, what we're doing. For those of you
Is that
who
with or
didn't
without a plan?
What's that?
Is that with or without a plan?
He's not going to let that go.
No, he's not. But we did get slightly over $3 million from the hardest hit funds last week. We sent out a press release in regards to our county land bank. On top of that, the $104,000 additional from the AG's office prior to that. So we'll be kicking that back up. Spring's coming, time to start demolishing houses and cleaning up our neighborhood. So I'm looking for a very busy year.
I'm going to be looking later in the summer, Commissioners, for some support from this board and Keith Bailey with Solid Waste. It's time that once we start gaining these properties, we hook it up with the Clean Lorain County funds, and there's some other things I think that we can build our own collaboration with that, because we're going to end up with a lot of properties eventually. We don't have many right now because they're still tied up in the legal process. But we do need to sit down and have a very constructive discussion with where we want to head with those properties. And after the land bank meets later in March, I think that how to utilize those properties and integrate them into a Lorain County Beautiful or Clean Lorain County and things like that are very important.
One of the newspapers reported that we purchase the demolition properties, and that's not the case. We don't normally own them. We just have the authority to go and demolish them.
Well,
we don't have to own them in order to demolish them, is what I'm trying to say.
But they're not inaccurate. The new program requires us to purchase the
Oh,
properties.
it does? The new one does?
This is a really, really complex grant. The last grant was while the sequence of events were a little bit complicated, and I will say the cities did a great job, even the villages, townships, let me not leave them out. Everybody had to learn a whole new game to participate, and they did a great job. I hate to say this, I don't really hate to say it, Elyria did a fantastic job with their people that work with us, and so did the City of Elyria. They're our biggest clients. This one is going to require a lot of extended legal work, and we do have to obtain the properties before we can deal with them. and we're putting a mechanism into place for that. In fact, the port has put a way of doing this into place that we're going to offer to other land banks out there to act as their agent, and it could be a revenue stream for the Port Authority to do. So I'll give you more insight into a sequence of events and a matrix of how we're going to deal with that. We've been working and thinking towards that for the last several months, waiting on these, because this grant was out there for a long time. They just didn't get it onto the street. But we're well prepared to go forward with that. And the funds should be arriving soon, and we do have funds already backed up that now that we have the award, I believe we can front load that and then draw down the grant. So you'll be hearing a lot more about it in the coming weeks. It's just nice that we got the $3 million. Remembering 2 land banks weren't funded at all. The bigger land banks, as a proportion of their size compared to us, weren't as funded as generously.
Correct.
The one that was a little bit perplexing to me until you and I dialogued, Ted, was Mahoning.
Right.
But I forgot that Youngstown and all the significant problems out there with Youngstown are probably why they received a...
Lorain County did a nice job based on population.
They did. They really did. And there's more money available. They held back $10 million of what they had, and there may be even more funds coming into that. So we want to be successful so that we can be lined up as we were the last time for some additional funding. It's going to be an exciting summer of a lot of progress in Lorain County.
I'm glad I asked. I thought that was an error in the paper, so, okay. I think it's still your report, isn't it?
Well, I'm going. I have more to do.
Okay, go ahead.
On Friday, we had a conference call. I serve on the County Commissioners Association Public Safety and Justice Committee, and I briefed with Commissioner Kokoski tying into her 911. We had a long discussion about the new next generation 911 and how it's going to be funded, switching from the analog to the digital. There's going to be less copper being run. Everybody's going to go to the digital systems. And our legislative platform is finding a permanent statewide uniform monthly charge against all numbers and address that will be able to access E911. So I'll share this with Commissioner Kokoski, but we're asking the state to jump in and get a statewide program that everybody can participate in with a funding level to allow us to participate and do it properly. So,
I think they talked about the charge that's on cell phone bills, that has to go to the next generation 911.
Correct.
And it can only be used for that.
No, let's hope they raise it to a more permanent and
What are they
sufficient number.
suggesting they want to raise it to?
They haven't given a number yet. It's all over the boards across states. I mean, you've got the state of New York, which charges $1 per month per line on wireless to help fund their 911, their PSAPs. They didn't get into the funding. We were more into the methodology and implementation, and because the state legislature has to decide that anyway, but from our legislative platform, because it's going to be coming and has to be done.
Has CCO developed a position with regard to a requested funding? I don't normally follow the CCO.
Level. We've asked for a proper fee to do this. Acquisition necessary hardware, software, and technology upgrades, annual maintenance of the system, and establishment of reserve for funding the major system technology advances that will occur over time. No, we don't have a dollar amount as of yet. They're working on that. We had to get our position that the communities would all agree on, because the Public Safety and Justice Committee is small, medium, and large counties working cooperatively versus just the Metro Committee of large counties. So it's a amalgamation of everyone. So working towards what that funding level might be, that'll be the next once the legislative platform is, we get dialogue starting in the House and the Senate.
Hopefully they'll make the fee sufficient. It was weak to begin with, and then they reduced it, but I'm grateful that they kept something down at the Capitol. But we could use more assistance to take some of that burden off of the levies.
Right.
Well, there's no money from landlines that goes to our 911 system. Is there something we do about that?
Well, that's the concern. Landlines are going to be dying. Landlines are decreasing at a rate of about 6% per year, and remain competitive in today's market. All companies are moving towards the fiber optics, so
right.
it's going to be a flop.
There are still going to be landlines, and they're not paying into the
fiber
system.
optic, not the copper wire.
Let me explain what happened with that, Commissioner. It's a real brief. The fee that was originally imposed on cellular phones that was not imposed on landlines was for a specific purpose. It was to move at that time to a GPS tracking system that let us triangulate positioning. Lots of people would call in from their cell phone. If there was an accident on the highway, a majority of the callers didn't know where they were. I'm out on Route 2, or and so this big problem came up that we couldn't properly respond to those types of calls. And so they imposed a small fee onto all cellular users so that all these PSAPs could upgrade to do that. Now, most of them did that, and then the fee became an issue of what to do with it, and we thought
it
that
became a political issue because they want to do tax cuts, but and the CCO petitioned heavily against that. We were able to save it. Went from 32 cents to 28 cents in the last biennium budget. It went from 28 cents to a quarter. But now fixed.
Now it's forever, right?
Right,
Perpetual.
it's fixed.
Well, it's fixed, but you also, those communities that are not participating in a community-wide initiative to reduce the number of PSAPs that they have, which is amazing in some of the bigger communities, their funding may be in jeopardy. They have to make progress in collaboration and consolidation of services.
It's all part of that.
We're already there,
Right.
so we don't have that issue. We only have one primary PSAP doing 911 in Lorain County, so our community has been progressive and is in front of that. But the next generation of equipment is going to be very, very expensive. It'll provide services that are unparalleled right now. They still haven't had clarification at the federal level with regard to the complete specific guidance on what that equipment has to entail, but it's coming, and we're working towards that goal, as you know, with many issues. But Ted, get in there and fight for a high fee.
That's why I was sharing it with Lori, because I know she's so involved in 911, and I get to see it from a macro view, so I want to let her know what we're doing at the state legislative issue. We also discussed, just skimmed over Senate Bill 43 regarding changes to the court-ordered civil commitment process and treatment provided mentally ill persons. And a couple just touched on. Again, that's not one of my areas of expertise. But House Bill 407 is to establish a pilot program requiring the state to operate a prison factory that utilizes inmates to produce goods not manufactured in the United States. It's a way of trying to make the prisoners more productive and being able to produce here within our state things that aren't readily available.
If we give them real skills, then we give them the potential for real jobs.
Right, that's one of the intents behind this legislation. Again, it's just an overview. It didn't get into the actual nuts and
once
bolts,
again,
it's just introduced.
Like with public transportation, Ted, our efforts at preventing recidivism are sadly lacking in Ohio. We need to deal with that issue too. It's becoming a bigger problem all the time.
And then the big one we spent the most time on, let's talk about the Ohio Public Defender's Office and Senate Bill 139 and House Bill 186 to reform the indigent defense system, making it more equitable, increase reimbursement to 50% from the state of Ohio, where we're currently at 40%, which we've increased 14% over the last 4 years. So they've been aggressive on that. I'd like to thank Tim Young and the Commissioners Association for getting that brought up as a major issue. But there is trying to establish standard system of rates and caps, because the counties are all over the board of what is being paid to attorneys who represent the indigent, so there's a more fair way of doing it.
And where are we located at?
At the bottom end.
At the I think we are dead last.
Yeah, well, I was being kind. The bottom end and dead last are close to each other. And eliminating affidavit mandate, and we're trying to fund a pilot project to allow the Ohio Public Defender's Office to conduct on-site audits, just to make sure, trying to get everybody on the same page where they'll audit the bills and make sure things are equitable. So it's been going on for years now, but we've been moving up the system, getting more money back. So we're about $1.8 million here in Lorain County a year. If we get 40% back, it's less than $1 million, $1.1 million. Would that make sense, Lisa? Somewhere in that, about that number. So again, nice meeting, working on the legislative end. Congratulations, Kudrowski's. Great turnout. The Punchkis were rolling. I hope everybody enjoyed the ones I brought in.
I heard you didn't do the shot.
No. I was actually standing next to a lady as we were there in the morning at 7 a.m. and Tim Kudrowski comes out with bottles of vodka. Let's do shots. I said, I shouldn't do this. And she looked at me and said, you shouldn't do that either. But also congratulations to Fligner's grocery store. I was attending yesterday. Senator Manning was there also with a contingency from the Grocers Association and state representatives, named the best grocery store in Ohio. It's a great turnout. So I got to hit major TV twice yesterday.
Wow.
It caught me in the morning and it caught me at Fligner's, I guess I was told. And a thank you to Lorain Fire Department.
Oh.
Last night for my fundraiser, my daughter is an employee of Jackalope. bar and rotisserie over on Lakeside in Lorain, and she was closing the place up, and the elevator got stuck. So she tried calling me at 11:30. I was already fast asleep. So she calls Lorain Fire Department. Thank God for cell phones. Lorain Fire Department shows up and finally breaks her out of there at around midnight. So I'd like to thank the fire department for helping her out. And she said, Fireman Danny Russell is the guy who got the doors open for her. So thank you very much for getting her out of the place. End of my report.
Actually, I've been recovering from pneumonia for the last...
I think you gave it to us because I've been sick for about 3 days off and on fighting. And I'm not real sick, just sniffles and everything. I think you gave it to us last week.
Well, if I did, I'm sorry about it because...
It was a political attack. Person
To take us out.
Yeah. No, you know, I would wish that I'm my worst enemy on that. Spent...
Are we his worst enemy?
No.
Go ahead,
But...
Tom.
So I want to actually thank my family, friends, and neighbors for helping me out during the time. It's very kind to have people around that can help get the kids off to school and pick them up and get into their sporting events. So thank you for that. And I apologize to the individuals where I missed so many different events going on. Purchased a lot of fundraising tickets for this weekend and was not able to use them. So. But going forward, I did receive, I don't know if you got contact from the group from Amherst Township regarding the City of Lorain raising their rates again to 135% with the service fees.
I haven't seen it, Todd. Have you
Okay.
got any notification?
I know we've been talking before regards potential entering into litigation on that. And they would like to know where we stand on that issue because the City of Lorain is now trying to get the case dismissed. Their attorneys don't feel that it's going to happen, but they would like to see us enter into litigation. Jerry, under the
Can you
last
give me some
contract,
supporting data where we went to 135 now? When did that happen?
it happened in January. And it was
'Cause I got a
basically,
similar phone call from Sheffield Township trustee Parsons that a resident said his went to 140, I believe, and then I called the City of Lorain, and they said they didn't have an increase there, and then Chad called me back, he said he thinks the gentleman got his bill wrong, so I didn't know.
well, I know in Amherst Township, they've been going through checking multiple rates. The trustees are very involved in it as well. And they did contact the utility department in the City of Lorain, and they said that it was approved to go to 135%.
Was
By
it a new
council?
legislation, or was it last year's just the automatic kick-ins?
They said that it came from the Safety Service Director, Mr. Fowler. They increased the rate to 135, and then they had the service fee, and then it's in that incremental step, so that went up again. So you have individuals who are from 2 years ago, they're now paying 212% or 112% more than what the residents in the City of Lorain are paying.
Jim, based on your discussions there, because basically, not to do anything out of line, you had discussions there, weren't they holding up, or what was the last communication? I know it's been a couple of months since that.
In fact, it's rather appropriate that this is brought up now. I did communicate late last week with a follow-up to a letter of understanding I sent to the city with respect to the sewer rates in Sheffield Township and Elyria Township, and that was subsequent to a large meeting that I had with them, wherein they had the ability to raise rates under the 1976 agreement that we now have all somewhat agreed is the burden document for how to establish rates going forward. And they made some proposals. I responded to them in writing that we would agree to those proposals and what they asked for, except we were going to implement the rate increase in 2 increments, if you remember.
I remember the discussion point.
I hadn't heard from them. The one thing I did have is the last close to that correspondence was that this would end all outstanding issues in that area, that particular service area between the county and the city. Obviously, there's been claims, counterclaims, and all of it predates all of us, so there's no clarity. I did follow up on that. I will make a call today. We just sent an email off inquiring as to what they were going to do with that and see if we can't get an update. I'll be more proactive in that, and I may have some information later.
Well, that was
in the
for
week.
Sheffield and Elyria Township. That's
Right,
separate than the Hidden Valley one.
I've actually split both those issues so that I'm trying to resolve issue by issue rather than have so many issues that we're in disagreement on that we don't get anything done. I am getting data right now from flow meters that I installed over in the Hidden Valley area. I will tell you that there is I&I over there. They're not inaccurate about that. I'll have better numbers and a report for you probably by the end of March with regard to flows over there. But there are some issues with that sewer over there. We go back to the basic argument, though, is that you can't keep raising rates without fixing the sewer. You can't raise rates because the problem exists, but then not fix the problem.
Right.
We did earlier, about a year ago, offer to work with them on repairing the sewer, even though that sewer is not particularly in our sewer system, because it does belong to Lorain, but it's a very awkward relationship because it does lie in an unincorporated area. We do have the 76 agreement, which, depending on what side of the issue you're on, it does, they say does or does not cover that area, and also they lie in our stormwater boundaries, and some of the infiltration issues do have to do with stormwater.
You know what, 40 years from now, the same people sitting up here, or different people are going to be sitting up here and going to say, what did they write in that agreement back in 2014?
I promise you that will never happen on anything we do here, because there will be clarity in what we do here, and we do an extensive amount of paperwork and archiving of things so that people understand what we did. That's why we journalize everything. We'll leave this place a lot better than it was left to us, even if people don't agree with what we do. At least they're going to have an understanding of why we did it. They may not agree with why we did it, but they'll have an understanding. But I know that I also heard that the rates went up in that area. I thought that it was an automatic kicker that they had in place.
That would be my thinking if they did it a year ago, an automatic kicker. It wasn't again, I asked the question, I didn't get any notification anything happened. So.
Well, what's a verbal agreement, I guess, was the City of Lorain and the residents that it was supposed to be an increase on the service fee, and there would be an annual increase on that. And then the City of Lorain has an increase that they do for all their users. This is an addition to. So they did the calculations on that. I know it's going to be moving forward in the courts. I don't know how this is going to stand if we do enter into litigation later on. Is that going to require the sitting judge to remove himself, since they are a Lorain County judge? But no, Jerry?
Jerry's shaking his head no.
I would think not.
Okay.
You know, they feel like there's no conflict. They just
No, there's no automatic, I mean, judges
Okay.
in the county all the time have to be involved in cases involving county litigation.
Or even with the one where the county's actually part of doing the...
No, they may choose to, but that's not some kind
All right.
of automatic disqualification.
Okay. Just bringing up some of the concerns that the residents were having on there. And what I'd like to do now is actually bring up the Ohio State University Associate Chair and Regional Director, Ms. Wilkins. She has a presentation she'd like to share with the board.
Okay.
Jacqueline Wilkins. I met her last Tuesday, I believe. And she just wanted to come up and introduce herself to the Board of Commissioners. And
Thank you.
I want to get her on the agenda, and it was my fault being ill. I forgot to
Dropped
send
the
an
ball,
email.
huh?
I did. Until yesterday, I could barely speak, so.
Well, Minnie called me this morning and says, what time's the meeting this morning? I'm thinking, what meeting do I have with Minnie?
Good morning. I'm Minnie Taylor. I'm the County Director for Ohio State University Extension here in Lorain County. It's my pleasure to be here with you all again this morning. So good morning, Commissioner Kokoski, Ted Kalo, Mr. Williams, Jerry Ennis, and Mr. Cordes. Good morning. Good to see you guys again. And I agree with you, Lori. You don't believe everything you read in the newspaper. 4-H Extension is working as hard as ever. We know we've had reduced funding or zero funding from the county commissioners, but we know that you support us and you do what you can. And I just want to give you a little highlight of that. We're still working to make the best better in our community here. We're doing a lot of things since the last time we met. We have great support from our solid waste. And I'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Bailey, for our partnership that we have. Over the last few years, we've had support from solid waste, from Judge Walters with the sale of Green Acres, and Friends of Lorain County Fair to help keep us moving. We are committed to this community and to the kids in this community, and we will continue to do that. Yes, we would love support from our county commissioners, and we're going to continue to keep our partnership strong until things are better and we can get back on track. But I want you to know a few things that's happening in our community as it affects Extension and the youth in our community. We are working with establishing partnerships. We do partnerships with local schools. We work with getting our volunteers rallied around, like the Friends of Lorain County Junior Fair, to help keep things moving. We are working with over 1,400 students in and out of school areas so that we won't have recidivism in our judicial system. We're making sure that we catch our kids early, keep them engaged and involved in what's happening in the community, from nutrition to being fit and healthy to mentoring programs. We have a new program that we've started with Youth and Family of Focus, where we're getting kids and their families in after-school programs and into the Extension office to talk about issues that are affecting our kids and how we can become a family again. We've gone away from where the families sit down and talk to a drive-through type of family situation in after-school programs. So we're working to nurture that and cultivate those types of relationships to keep our families engaged. Lorain County is strong, and I know that we can do this. Together we can do this. And so we're still working. We're not going to lay down. We're going to continue to move and continue to create partnerships so that we all can be proud. Our kids are our future, and we know that. And so, again, you know I'm not going to preach this morning, but I'm passionate about it, and I know that you all support that too. We do financial literacy in schools, and Mr. Williams have been part of that simulation process, and we do that throughout Lorain County. So you don't read all of the stuff that we're doing. We're still doing the best that we can. We can't do all of it, but we're doing the best that we can with what we have. And again, we still appreciate your support and your encouragement, and we look forward to the future. Jackie Wilkins.
So my name is Jacqueline Kirby Wilkins. I'm an associate professor, associate chair, and regional director for Northeast Ohio State University Extension. I think they left some of that off the card because it was just a really long title there. Just to give you a bit of background, I come out to every county. I started back with Extension about 1.5 years ago. I have currently 35 counties because I'm also handling some with a recent retirement with a regional director in the Southwest region. But I typically have 31 counties that runs from Wood County down to Muskingum and then back up to Ashtabula. And my role as a regional director is to do the hiring, the onboarding of the different individuals. And again, I think you're aware, even though we only have 4-H currently in OSU Extension in Lorain County, we also oftentimes have community development, which works on a lot of the issues that you were talking about this morning in partnership and bringing folks together. We also have family and consumer science educators, and those really focus a lot on the prevention piece. And what I like to talk to communities about is the fact that Extension does a really great job. There was a list of the different partners that we collaborate with in the community. We try not to be a competitor. We act as collaborators to make sure that we're actually pulling resources from the Ohio State University, which we can do by way of the research that's done there, the state specialists that we have, and then field specialists across the state to help identify, do needs assessments within communities, and then individualize the programming that gets done. I just spoke with a few commissioners recently about family and consumer science, for instance, and you know, just as I won't do it to you today, but one of my questions to them was, what do you think family and consumer science is? And somebody said, well, I think it must be something to do with families and something to do with consumers. And another person said, well, isn't that cooking and sewing? Well, all of that's true, but in addition to that, what I did is gave them 250 different titles that we can do that are based around strengthening families and prevention. And that's where we come in on that continuum, which is to help individuals learn to help themselves and build skills and quality in life so that they can avoid some of those crisis intervention pieces that actually do cost us a lot of money at the county and the state level. And then Ag and Natural Resources, and I know that you had an Ag and Natural Resource educator here not too long ago. We have one person, Tim Melinek, who still helps out a lot in Lorain County with Green Circle Growers, for instance, helping out with the pesticide application training, and also with Master Gardeners. We've kind of pulled in some folks from Cuyahoga County to help with that. So we've had some really good stopgap measures, but the need is still very much here in the community for that. As you spoke, Mr. Cordes, related to a grant that you just got for invasive species, for instance. As we think about potential collaborative funding in the future, I've received about $5.5 million grants. When I left, well, let me take a quick step back. I was at Ohio State back in the 90s as a state specialist in the area of human development and family science. And I left there in about 2001 because I loved my husband and family. And he took a job as a part owner in a commercial building company in Cleveland, which brought me back to this area, which is where I grew up in Northeast Ohio. At that time, I did consulting, grantsmanship, research, and one of the projects I did was an efficiency study for the city of Medina that looked at their 19 different departments and tried to help them save money and think about economies of scale. So I bring that information back with me at the point in time that I decided that I wasn't sure I wanted to do more salary compensation studies. I want to get back to individual youth and families. So I rejoined Extension about 1.5 years ago. It's my goal to do everything I can to build capacity within every single county. If obviously county appropriations is a big part of that. When we don't have that, because we understand the economy in the nation right now and locally, I'd love to be able to talk to you all about opportunities for collaborative grant writing. So when you mentioned the invasive species grant, for instance, a part of that grant might be able to go toward cost share for an ag and natural resource educator, where you can work on the invasive species portion of that for the Black River, but then also have an individual who can help out with some of those other areas that we talked about.
Make sure you see Sandy at the back of the room before you leave and get my card, and let's have a conversation.
I would love to do that. And I have a lot of additional ideas related to kind of, again, building that capacity and thinking kind of out of the box. I'm actually writing a white paper right now for the National Council on Family Relations to do innovative thoughts on funding family life education across the nation. So there's lots of ways to do this. I thank you for your continued support. My role, again, is to hire, bring people on, train them, build their capacities, and also do professional development and their performance reviews. I'm across all these different counties. I see lots of different ideas and things that are being done. I know that you talk about them when you go to your county commissioner meetings. If there's something that you'd like to see us doing that we're not, you have my card now. I hope that you'll give me a call. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I want to thank you guys for everything you do. The real money, real world. That's a great time. With the 4-H, people think a lot of times, animals, things of that sort, but this is a program that's actually reaching out to the youth. They kind of give them a better insight of how to plan, and it's something that they don't get in school. A lot of times they don't even get at home.
Absolutely.
So working with them, how to balance a checkbook, how to
make wise choices.
What's that?
How to make wise choices for for their future.
It is, and when you see these kids, and we've done them with as 4th graders up to high schoolers, but when you see them, especially the younger ones, and they can actually end up with a plan, and it comes together, how proud they are of it. And this is what, a 6 weeks program?
It's a 6-week program, yes.
So it's something that's definitely of value for the youth in this community. And just want to thank you, the Friends of 4-H, the Friends of the Lorain County Junior Fair, and that for all the work that you do. Much appreciated.
And thank you also for your support.
We were fortunate working with Judge Walther on Green Acres money to be able to continue the funding of OSU Extension. From the standpoint of the funding, I know the extensions are struggling all over the state. There is the ability to do a countywide ballot issue, but in an urban, rural county like Lorain County, and the population is urban-centric, it would be very hard. When you say working on things, probably a district perspective for doing OSU and soil and water might help when it comes to some type of raising of funds for levy purposes. How they're allowed to do police districts to ballot. That might be some work on the state legislature, helping us fund, the really important. I mean, our #1 economy is agriculture in our county. People don't quite realize that. Things like U.S. Steel and Fort Wayne manufacturing, but the funding in the local guys is very difficult when you have to
towards some of those district, regional, and even statewide efforts, and certainly some of our counties have gone to levies related to that as well. And
But
so
those are more rural counties. You haven't had the urban counties because they can't get them passed in the large urban areas. So the smaller
Right.
counties have been able to do that. So
Right.
working on it legislation to make it a district might be more beneficial in regards to funding it because the needs are there. It's no different than Commissioner Williams talking about our transit. You know,
Right.
the urban areas need it, but the rural areas aren't necessarily going to support it, so he hasn't supported. It's the same thing, the opposite, when you start talking about the rural needing things, the urban areas going, I go to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand the benefits. So if you're going to do something from the extension and your writing ability, it's the legislative part. I know soil and waters, everybody's worked on it to a degree, but getting that push through that we can actually do a real district push might help all of our funding.
I absolutely agree with that. And I also think, just going back to what you said with the real money, real world piece and the importance and value of that, they're not learning it in school. That used to be a legislative mandate, was to have the family life education, or family consumer and sciences. It was called different things in different schools that gave us the opportunity to reach all of the kids that way. So, you know, hopefully eventually we'll come around and understand that the prevention piece is important, and some of that legislation will come back into place. But I'm happy to talk about any additional thoughts or opportunities for building that capacity.
But until we can get that change, I mean, something that we'll have to consider is the priority of the Ohio State Extension Office and giving the funding through the general fund. I mean, for me, I know how important it is. I go out, I see the kids, even over the summer when we get to see the kids going through and doing programming.
STEM programming.
Electromechanical devices and that. It's definitely something that's worthwhile. It's something that the entire community benefits from. But as a board, it's just something I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of what was going on. I know you're heavily involved in the at the fair, Mr. Kalo, but
I appreciate that.
Just a
One
little
last thing
bit.
is
Just
to
a
remind you
little
that we actually are able to leverage quite a bit of what you're able to
Correct.
give us
Right.
toward additional grants, also
Well, we
through the
have been
SNAP
able
Ed.
to- We haven't able to get to the minimum $103,400 with the money from the Green Acres Sale, working with Judge Walther. And
Absolutely.
the Friends of Junior Fair, who raised $27,000 to help, plus what our County Commissioner South Waste Department gives towards the environmental impact of it. So I mean, we've been able to cobble that together, but revenues are an issue.
Right.
And the money from Green Acres is going to run out.
Yeah.
Right, that's exactly right. That leveraging is really important in what you've already been able to do. For FCS educators, for instance, a lot of times they're able to, after a couple years in place, actually do cost recovery that makes up for their entire position. So again, thank you for what you've done.
Well, you're doing a nice job presenting OSU Extension, because a lot of time it gets confused, nobody knows what OSU Extension is, because so much time is spent on the 4-H program.
That's another part of my job, is
Okay,
to make sure
4-H
that
is
all of them are
impossible
putting
with-
the logos together and
Right.
talking about extension. We just had a really nice meeting with the Friends of Junior Fair board last week, and one of the main messages that I kept repeating to a group of really 60 passionate individuals that were there is that we can't just talk 4-H, we have to talk about the entire holisticness of extension, because there's not just the programmatic pieces that we can reach out to, but we also have a lot of economies of scale and knowledge that can be brought to bear from the university in local decision-making and
Well, it's an
assistance with
economic
that.
development issue from the idea of extension of services they offer, with 4-H being one part, very important part, but just one part of the entire wheel, one spoke within that wheel, so.
Absolutely.
It's nice to hear from the extension side.
Great, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Thank you.
that'll be in my report.
Board correspondence?
Move the reading be waived.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Public comment?
Anyone looking to address the board this morning? Well, I'll make a motion to go executive session as outlined by the county administrator and county prosecutor's office.
Second?
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.